Hi, my name's Kirsten Weeks. I'm joining you not from the Green Hair Street corridor, but from across the Golden Gate Bridge in Marin County. I have positioned myself today to promote Zoom entertainment in front of my chicken coop, so you may get a chance to see some semi-wildlife in action. I've been a member of the Nature in the City Advisory Council for about 4 years, and I also run a consulting practice called Biostudio that focuses on design and planning to create places where people and nature thrive together and to do projects that promote a living future for everyone. Now I'm going to tell you a bit about how the Green Hair Street Corridor and Nature in the City's efforts play into the broader San Francisco city efforts to promote biodiversity. So a lot of people are aware of San Francisco as kind of an environmental and sustainability advocacy hub. It's also a biodiversity hotspot. We have a striking variety of microclimates shaped by the topography and fog and proximity to the ocean. There's a really striking range of species that thrive in all these different niches in San Francisco and the broader Bay Area. And at the same time, we have significant challenges related to development and urbanization, invasive species, and all those sorts of things that a lot of cities face. So in 2005, in recognition of all these things, the UN hosted World Environment Day in San Francisco, and there was a coalition of organizations that came together for a meeting that was referred to as Nature in the City. And out of that came the founding of Nature in the City as an organization. Peter Brastow was the founder. And over the next several years, Nature in the City, and led by Peter and the community, worked to elevate the urban restoration agenda. And in 2011, that led to San Francisco passing a resolution to take greater initiative to protect and enhance biodiversity in the city. One of the first measures that came out of that resolution was the choice to hire a full-time biodiversity coordinator in the city, and Peter Brastow actually took over as the biodiversity coordinator at that point for the city, and that's when Amber, who you've met, became the executive director of Nature in the City. So led by Peter, the city then moved on to join the International Biophilic Cities Network. For people who aren't familiar with that term, biophilic is bio meaning life, philic meaning love, so it's referring to the idea that people have a natural affinity for nature and natural patterns, and that they'll be healthier and happier in cities that connect them to nature. So I think this dual focus on people and connection of people to nature, and then the nature and ecosystems themselves, that dual focus is really significant in San Francisco's approach, in Nature in the City's approach, and I think it's quite appropriate for urban areas everywhere. Both looking at ecosystem protection, but also the really important aspect that we need to improve people's well-being and ultimately their desire to steward ecosystems through connection and day-to-day experience. So San Francisco then began working up policy related to biodiversity, and in 2017 passed a resolution that adopted a vision and 5 specific goals related to biodiversity. So those goals are biologically rich ecosystems, equitable access, awareness, and experience of nature, community and ecological stewardship, ecological planning and design, and resilience in a living city. And wasting no time, then the following year in 2018, the city passed a biodiversity policy that directed all 15 departments of the city, the port, the library, the planning department, basically all aspects of city government to each produce a plan that supports on how they, through their work and things under their purview, how they could support those 5 biodiversity goals. And then another year later, which is lightning speed in the policy world, I might add, all 15 of those departments have produced those plans. They can be found on San Francisco's biodiversity website. And now the work of implementation is ongoing. So one aspect that interests me in particular as a design and planning practitioner is the biodiversity design guidelines that the city has produced, and they're in pilot right now, so that new building projects, as they're being designed and developed, can follow those guidelines in order to ensure that the finished projects are going to be supportive of habitat and equitable connection to nature. Nature in the City is working independently, still, of course, as a nonprofit from the city, but seeking opportunity to advocate for supportive policy, advocate for all, Nature in the City all along has been a community player that's really pushing for these things to get passed, and is seeking now to continue to provide technical support and advocacy as opportunities come along. So one aspect of that happened recently is San Francisco updated its climate action plan, and Nature in the City, led by Zara Kelly, a volunteer, organized public comment to strengthen the habitat and biodiversity elements of the city's plans for climate change mitigation and resilience. And I think this is a super important connection. The connection between biodiversity and climate advocacy is critical for us all to make as we are working for a livable and thriving planet for all beings. And I think that it's been an area where the city of San Francisco, as well as Nature in the City, have been leading and will continue to advocate.